The so-called People's Convoy has completely and unsurprisingly imploded upon itself. Shocker. Now, look, these are the truckers who initially drove to the Capitol back in March to protest against vaccine mandates that didn't actually exist. And they were modeled, of course, after the Canadian truckers who had held, I think, a couple city blocks hostage and blocked traffic. Now, what's funny about these truckers, the copycat truckers in America, is they were incredibly weak. They were chased out by eggs, by a bicyclist, and some pretty big executive dysfunction. Despite all of that, they claimed that they would ambush the nation's capital on last Thursday afternoon. So now, what's interesting about this is that the People's Convoy has been going through a whole bunch of leadership changes. Interesting. Now, look, the different leader here is, I forget his name, Mr. Riddell. And he is the newly appointed convoy leader after Brian Braze bailed on the group to return to his home in northern Ohio. Now, probably, of course, because he had wasted time and money for literally no reason. They got no results. And by the way, what results were you looking for? Honestly, there are no mandates for vaccines. There's not even any mask mandates. We've pretty much forgotten about the pandemic, which, by the way, still exists. Over 1 million people, Americans, have died from COVID, and yet everybody seems to have moved on, which I think is a pretty big mistake, actually. Disastrous. Now, of course, Riddell is continuing this. It's a gigantic grift, but let me get to that. According to the Daily Beast, convoy goers aimlessly circled the Beltway on Wednesday of last week and got stuck in rush hour traffic. Sad. Asked by one supporter on Wednesday evening whether the convoy had an exit plan out of D.C. proper, Riddell said he had no desire to leave the area once the trucker crew was inside the city limits, but they never really got there. By Friday afternoon, the group had failed to go through their plan to quote-unquote ambush the city. I don't even know what that means. Like, ambush the city? You're a bunch of trucks. People are going to know. They're going to notice that. Again, they didn't. I guess they failed and subsequently surrendered and decided to go back to their base. As of 2:30 p.m., this is on May 20th, the People's Convoy declares victory. This is the statement they put out, and announced its conclusion of the national convoy portion of this great movement. This great movement that has done nothing. Any convoy and protest activity from this time forward is done on an individual basis and is not representing the People's Convoy. The group wrote in a press release, "We will be exiting Hagerton Speedway within 7 days." Now, look, this exit apparently did not go well, did not go down well or sit well with some of the people that were actually in the convoy. So the leadership made this decision, and some of the members are like, I don't know. Not good. We don't agree with that. In fact, one streamer said, quote, "You have families that were misled across the nation. What happened here is beyond ridiculous." During a Wednesday afternoon live stream, I believe another streamer named Trucker G had talked about one fan's comment expressing worry that the group might become hostile and do violence. "I see several people leaning towards violence," the user wrote, prompting the YouTubing trucker to remark this: "I hope not. As soon as they take this violently, it's going to throw everything they're trying to accomplish. It's going to throw it away." What have you tried to accomplish? I don't understand. What have you done? Nothing. Again, I'm totally fine with protests as long as they remain peaceful. You all know my position on that. However, apparently the leaders had different goals than some of the members, and apparently it nearly came to blows. In fact, after leaders of the convoy surrendered and attempted to dissolve the convoy as of Friday, their own supporters had actually chased convoy leaders Ron Coleman and Marcus Summers into a trailer. Maryland state troopers arrived at the Hagerstown Speedway to convoy goers yelling "squatters' rights" after speaking with Coleman, Summers, and other co-organizers of the RV. In the RV, a state trooper told angry convoy supporters that there was no financial contract with the Speedway and that they would have to leave the property within hours. "We would like to press charges," convoy goers yelled back, seeking to begin a legal endeavor against convoy leaders, including Coleman and Summers, over alleged fraud. Quote, "Arrest them for fucking fraud," another supporter yelled out. Summers got back into the RV as police attempted to de-escalate the situation. Former convoy leader Brian Braze took to Facebook to then claim, "I didn't have anything to do with this. This was not my mess. I can't say what's happening over here. I'm washing my hands of this one." Smart. Real smart. It's about the smartest thing Braze has ever done. This whole thing has just absolutely devolved. Gone. Now, here's the thing. I'm actually going to side with the supporters on this one and not the leadership of the truckers. Why? Because the whole entire thing was a grift. I do think that some of the supporters there that were still doing this actually believed in what they were doing. The leadership were the ones that were getting donations. Yes, there were still people that were donating, not nearly as many as there were before, because the right wing has essentially pretty much forgotten about this entire thing. And what did they do with that money? They drove around DC and they wasted a bunch of gas. That's it. That's it. There was no real goal here, no real protest. All they did was just want to raise money from dupes in the hopes of raising their own profiles and making it onto Fox News. But the thing is, the media doesn't care about you anymore, guys. Truckers, your 15 minutes of fame are over. Gone. You know what they're talking about now? They're talking about immigration. They're talking about inflation. They're talking about baby formula. They're talking about anything that they could do to get people pissed off at Joe Biden before the midterms and the Democrats. That's it. That's it. So, sorry, not sorry. They're just not into you anymore. Go home. Gone. This is what happens, by the way, when you have a protest looking for a cause instead of actually giving a shit about what you're doing. Just saying.